So today we're going to talk about the 5 steps of hypothesis testing. So your first step is to state the hypothesis. Your second step is to find your level of significance. Third step, collect the data and compute the sample statistics. Fourth, find the p-value. And fifth, make a decision to reject or accept the null. So your first step is to state the hypothesis. When stating the hypothesis, you start by finding your null hypothesis, which is denoted as H subscript 0. Your null hypothesis is a statement about a population parameter, primarily population mean. Using hypothesis testing, you always assume the null hypothesis to be true. Finding the alternative hypothesis is your next step, and this is denoted by H subscript A or 1. The alternate hypothesis is used to contradict your null hypothesis and states that the actual population parameter is different than the null. For the second step, you are finding your level of significance. The significance level is the probability of a false rejection of the null hypothesis on a statistics test. The level of significance is usually set at 5% or 0.05. When the probability of obtaining a sample mean is less than 5%, if the null hypothesis were true, we can conclude that the selected sample is too unlikely and we reject the null. Our third step is to collect data and compute sample statistics. So we came together with an example. Many collegiate athletes have been arguing that early morning practices do not allow them to perform at their best because they are not getting enough sleep per night. Studies show that collegiate athletes improve when they are allowed at least 9 hours of sleep per night. So let's find the null and alternate hypothesis and let's interpret the data. So in our example, we have 12 different athletes, and you can see their different hours of sleep per night, their performance level, and the hour that they have practice. Our fourth step will be to find the p-value. To find the p-value, you run a data regression in Excel and compare this number with your hypothesis. So this is our regression that we ran in Excel. From this, you can see that our p-tail number is 0.8699, which we have rounded up to 0.87, and this number will be compared with our level of significance to see if we will reject or accept our null. For our fifth step, we will make a decision to reject or accept the null. As I previously stated, when the probability of obtaining a sample mean is less than 5%, if the null hypothesis is true, we can conclude that the selected sample is too unlikely and we reject the null. Also, when the probability of obtaining a sample mean is greater than 5%, if the null hypothesis was true, we can retain the null hypothesis. So for this example, we're going to find out what our hypotheses are and if we are going to accept or reject the null. So we found that our null hypothesis is that there is no difference in mean practice performance based upon hours of sleep, and our alternate hypothesis is that there is a difference in mean practice performance based upon hours of sleep. With that being said, we can understand that we will accept our null, meaning that there is no difference in mean practice performance based upon hours of sleep, because of the p-value in our regression that we ran was at a level of 0.87, and this was larger than our significance level of 0.05, meaning that we accept the null.